And Neil Jacobs, welcome back to F.A.C.E, buddy, and Happy New Year to you. And hope this is going to be a better year for people in the crypto space. How are you, Neil?
Good. Can you hear me? Happy New Year to you too.
Yeah, got it, Neil. So you're going to be sharing your screen today to be showing us anything?
Sure. I'll
Oh,
just
there
show
you are.
myself.
Okay. Oh, look at that background. So are these Bitcoins really gold, or why, are they
It just
trying to trick people into thinking that it's gold because gold's been outperforming?
I just found this image a long time ago, and I'm not trying to trick anybody. It's definitely not gold. It's way better than gold.
Okay, see, so here's a believer, and there are advantages, and the advantage is, I think one of them is the portability of your wealth. And
Yeah,
why don't you
absolutely.
show people? You have one in your hand. You have one in your hand. You could show people that
No.
you have it locked up in the
What's great about Bitcoin, you could actually have it in your mind. You could travel across borders with just 12 words in your head and bring value worth millions or billions of dollars. So not only does, like you said, Bitcoin has a better portability feature, but it's also more unconfiscatable than gold, right? And no one knows what's in your head.
Not mine. I've had psychiatrists try, but they failed. In fact, Neil, I was once diagnosed as a dyslexic, agnostic, insomniac because I would stay up all night wondering whether or not there was really a dog.
That's funny. I never heard that one.
It's an old one. Like everything I do, it's old. So anyway, tell us what your thoughts are going into the new year. We're getting a bit of a recovery in Bitcoin, and I don't think you and I have talked since the FTX scandal, fraud broke.
Yeah.
Why don't we address that too? Because just because of FTX and someone really committing atrocious acts against people that gave them trust, it doesn't affect what Bitcoin is. It just puts a stain on and injured people who trusted FTX, not the trust in Bitcoin.
Yeah, and the whole ethos of Bitcoin is don't trust, verify. And this didn't start with FTX. You know me, I think the entire crypto industry, I separate Bitcoin from crypto, and the entire crypto industry does a lot of unethical things. They mislead retail investors. This goes back years and years. Kind of started this latest kind of drawdown in the Bitcoin price going back to November of 2021. Even though it was maybe we were overheated in the first place, you then had a lot of players in the market do some crazy things. There was that algorithmic stable coin with a character named Do Kwon that kind of caused the first drawdown. And you had a lot of other risky players in this industry tied to that. Then you had the FTX thing happen. So you had this cascading effect. On top of that, you had a lot of miners who got over leveraged. They apparently thought the Bitcoin price was going a lot higher. So instead of selling their Bitcoin maybe to pay for their operations, they were borrowing against their Bitcoin. And that doesn't work out when the price then reverses on you. So not only did you have all these scandals, but then you have forced sellers and miners, Bitcoin miners, who are already the lead sellers of Bitcoin because they mine it and they have to pay for their costs.
Okay, so what separates Neil is Neil won't even look or buy anything else but Bitcoin. What do you say to the people that are believers in Ethereum?
Bitcoin is supposed to move us away from a centrally controlled monetary system, fiat money.
Yes.
And things like Ethereum have kind of recreated that. So it's not for me. I don't know why you would want rulers, right? Bitcoin is rules without rulers. and Ethereum is rulers without rules. They're constantly changing the rules. They had this big shift. I think it was in September. They
fork or
called
something.
they called it the merge, where they actually moved from a proof of work system more similar to Bitcoin to a proof of stake system, which is now more like the fiat system we have. So I don't really know why you would want to be part of that. I could see maybe some technologists find stuff about it interesting, but in terms of a monetary revolution, Bitcoin is really the only way to go, in my opinion, at this point in time.
Okay, and we have a attendee. Tony's asking, you talk about that gold could be confiscated. Why do you think, or do you think that the U.S. will, like China, ban Bitcoin?
Well, we saw how the U.S. tried to ban Bitcoin, or ban gold, sorry.
Yeah.
What was it? Executive Order
75.
6102 under FDR.
Yeah.
Then sorry?
Yeah, they did it again in the 70s. It was
Yeah,
illegal to own gold.
And did that really work out? I don't know how many people went to jail for holding gold.
Yeah.
So, and we have such a U.S. centric mind. I live in the U.S. I'm assuming you live in the U.S.
Yes.
And this, what the U.S. government does is definitely important. They are the biggest battle for Bitcoin, but there's governments all over the world. So if for some reason the on-ramps to getting Bitcoin here, having possession of Bitcoin in the US became illegal, which I don't think they will, but if they did, it will create what people like to call a jurisdictional arbitrage, where people with Bitcoin will go to places that are more favorable to Bitcoiners and Bitcoin holders.
And that's El Salvador, right? I see Max Kaiser writing about, I guess he relocated down there, calls El Salvador Bitcoin maximalist country. It is their currency. Are you going to move down there and hang out with Max?
Max is quite the character. I do enjoy my life in the US. I don't want it to become illegal in the US. And like I said, I don't think this is a reality that's going to happen. I think that Bitcoin should be protected under the First Amendment of the Constitution. It's really just a database of code that people are expressing what they believe is value. You don't even have to use Bitcoin as a monetary network. You could use it to send messages. So I just think that it's going to be a slippery slope if they try to all out ban Bitcoin in the United States.
If they do you think the CBDC is going to be the reason why? And I think that there's going to be more of a movement with a weaker dollar and the introduction of CBDC. People are going to say, well, if I have to have a digital coin that doesn't have any privacy, doesn't have any portability, like the experiment or the beta tests that the Fed is doing on that, I should own Bitcoin. Do you think that's going to be a major driver into the space?
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because no one ever talked about CBDCs before Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And central bank digital currencies, it's kind of a misnomer in the first place, right? Digital currencies supposed to be cryptographically secured, public, decentralized networks. And this is just going to be centrally controlled. So, it's really a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right now our dollar is digital, but at least there's still cash. Right. And
Right.
why I believe in privacy. We shouldn't all be looked at as criminals. The government shouldn't have to know everything that I do. And someone wrote in the chat, why would any major sovereign give up their most powerful power? So I guess like the US has the world reserve currency. I think at some point they may not see another option. I think the incentives will force them to start acquiring Bitcoin, whether it becomes a reserve like gold, and not necessarily for the US, legal tender in a country, their actual currency. I think we're going to see more and more of that. We're seeing countries all around the world have issues. I saw the other day in Lebanon, someone shooting at their bank like the outside of the bank, because they're not allowing them to withdraw their money. And I know, this is the US, not Lebanon. But where does this go? Ultimately, all fiat currencies trend towards zero. They get more and more worthless over time. So we'll see what happens.
I know you're not price sensitive, and you're long term. This is your this is your retirement and your legacy, Bitcoin, right? So
it is a passion for me, and I love to talk about it.
do you have kids?
I don't.
Okay, someday if you do, I know a lot of people saying that this is my children's future, not just my future in Bitcoin. So, part of the problem also last year was people giving their Bitcoin so that they could earn a yield on it. And was it the miners that were borrowing? They were borrowing. So what about that? Has that disappeared too, where there was a yield on the investment on Bitcoin, where people were getting a yield and they're getting a piece of the yield off the Bitcoin? I really never understood it. Maybe
and exactly. And if you can't understand something, Dale, it probably means it's too good to be true. And what I would say is, what kind of yield does gold give off, right? Bitcoin
Zero.
doesn't have cash, these dividends, doesn't have cash flows coming in. And I was back in early 2021, I was telling people, they'd say, oh, what about BlockFi? What about Celsius? What about this? And I'd say, stay away from them. Bitcoin is super valuable long term, and for what, a few percentage points. And you have to ask yourself the question, where is the yield coming from? And if you don't know where the yield is coming from, you are the yield. You are someone else's yield. So I was
always taught, higher the yield, higher the risk.
And yeah, but you know what, if these lenders like these BlockFis and Celsius were giving, I don't know, 35% yield on Bitcoin, then maybe I would have said, if you want to take your chance on something like that, you can. And that would have maybe compensated for the risk people were taking. Apparently, it was even greater than that, because a lot of these lenders went bankrupt, right? Like I said, BlockFi, Celsius, FTX. We're seeing Digital Currency Group that was considered one of the more stronger, more quote unquote reliable players in the space, having issues. So it's
okay.
Like I said, Bitcoin's so valuable. Just appreciate its appreciation over time.
Okay. And what's your self-talk when you see a 70% decline in an asset you own? What do you say to yourself to maintain your faith?
Yeah. So, and just to go off again, I'm reading the chat while you're talking. It's basically the same point you're saying, Dale. Someone said, like, how do I not
said it nicer?
Yeah. How do I not look at the price charts? How many things do we see collapse, eventually go to zero? So it's not that I don't pay attention to this. I kind of look at a Bitcoin as a early stage startup, out of Silicon Valley, right?
Okay.
There's ups and downs. You don't price that on a daily basis, right? You don't know what the value of a company is until it goes public. And I kind of seen, like, if you try to, value Uber in its first year or its second year before becoming public, it would be all over the place. It'd be haywire, right? A lot of companies don't have any income their first few years, right? So I kind of look at this as a startup. However, it's a multi-$100 billion asset. You have people all around the world building infrastructure around Bitcoin. So it has even a better moat. And there's a real use case for this all around the world. Okay. So that's why I don't get caught up in the price. I think people just don't understand this asset, right? There's that famous quote that, markets in the short term are like a voting machine, but in the long term, they're a weighing or measuring machine, right? So I just think people don't understand this. And the price is always on the margins anyways. Like, no one could buy my Bitcoin right now for $17,400. So whoever's selling it, good for them. That's not what I'm going to sell my Bitcoin or anytime soon.
Strong. All
Yeah.
right. So Neil, I know you have a couple of new projects that you started late last year. You have your own show and you're doing podcasts. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and how people
Sure.
could watch you, and if they have questions about how to buy Bitcoin. And you're the guy I'm going to go to when I buy my first Bitcoin. I'm planning to do it this year. And
Awesome.
you could walk me through it. So why don't you tell people what you're doing to educate the public about
Yeah,
your,
absolutely.
go ahead.
So I do a lot of different things. I'm on Clubhouse, a social media app, every morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern. And basically we're in there, we talk about some Bitcoin news, and then we field questions from anyone. Right now, sometimes it's slower, sometimes there's more people, but you're always welcome to come in there. I also do 2 podcasts. One is a weekly Bitcoin show called the Inside Bitcoin Show. It's with Joe Carlasare. He's a lawyer in the Bitcoin space, really bright guy, also very intelligent with macro stuff. So that's more of a commentary show once a week. And then every morning I release something called the Bitcoin News Show, which is about a 2 to 3 minute reading of Bitcoin related news. So we touch on Bitcoin and we talk about all the craziness going on surrounding the space. And
Okay.
as you know, Dale,
Perfect TikTok thing. Are you using TikTok?
I need to get on that. I'm kind of like a little aged
Yeah.
out, but I'm in my mid 30s, so
Yeah.
it's a little
Oh,
after me.
oh,
But I know,
you're a
yeah,
young man
no, I
compared to
know
me.
I'm young, but the people on this are far younger. But
Yeah.
I need to start getting into that. And also, as you know, Dale, I have a Bitcoin only merch and apparel company called
Oh,
FOMO21.com,
yeah. Yeah.
and I have a lot of fun with that. I basically get to put Bitcoin memes into real life by getting people to wear stuff on t-shirts. So it's a lot of fun for me.
Neil, I appreciate you, going out in public and taking the slings and arrows and calmly. I've never seen you get upset about any question, about, that, you know, people that are anti-Bitcoin and think you have to be, kind of foolish to think that there's any value in it. And you build a
Look,
nice
Dale,
case.
when people are coming from a genuine, sincere, space and asking questions, I'm totally fine with that. I could definitely get a little combative on Twitter sometimes. I try to only punch up when it's well-known people who should, in my opinion, know better or do more work before giving an opinion. Then sometimes I will be a little harsh. I'm not an angel, but when it comes to your everyday person and they're just, they hear questions, or they hear narratives on mainstream financial press, I understand why they believe that. And it took me, my journey into Bitcoin to where I kind of had a really good understanding took about 7 years. So
Okay.
for me to just
Yeah.
assume everyone's going to get it right away is foolish.
Yeah. So, I have an expression: keep an open mind. It will keep your account open.
I like that.
Okay. So
I like that a
I
lot.
have an open mind, and I enjoy talking to you. And I am the closest to conversion I've ever been in my career to Bitcoin.
That's awesome. I'm
So
happy to hear
I'm
that.
ready to be baptized into a wallet.
And that's what I see what's different about like this bear market as opposed to prior ones. I think people in the mainstream know Bitcoin is here to stay. They don't know about all the crypto stuff, but Bitcoin, there's been 500 times people have declared Bitcoin dead, probably more, but there's a website called bitcoinisdead.com, I think, or if you just Google Bitcoin is dead, and it shows articles going back to 2010, I believe.
Yeah.
Bitcoin was at $12, it's dead. It's at 100, it's dead. It's 20,000, dead. It's always dead, but it never dies. So maybe if you have this, oh, Bitcoin's going to zero, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a pyramid scheme, all these buzzwords, maybe just look into it a little more. See what other people are seeing that you're not seeing. Try to have an open mind, as you said, Dale.
There's a title for an article for you to write. Bitcoin is not dead. It is Lazarus.
Interesting. I'll have to think about that
I
one.
got a smile out of you. Neil, thanks a lot for being here. Your Twitter handle again? At Neil Jacobs?
Just at Neil Jacobs, NEILJACOBS. You could follow me there. That's where I'm most active, and I link to other stuff from there a lot. And I appreciate you, and the people in your chat have been so gracious also. Really enjoy coming on, and I hope to be on again.
I think there's going to be a very important time for this asset.
Yeah, it's going to be nice one day, Dale, when Bitcoin again is in a bull market, and I could come on then, and we'll laugh about
All right.
Bitcoin is going to 0 times.
Okay. Thank you, Neil, so much. I root for you, and keep up your great work. You are an excellent ambassador for the asset.
Thank you very much,
Neil Jacobs, everybody.
All right, bye-bye.
All right, take it easy. And everyone, you could join the team in 20 minutes on the Morning Edge. We're all hoping Blake feels better. What a season, flu, everything this year. Now COVID's rearing its head again. And thank you. Hope that you got something out of the show. Join us tomorrow for the big number. And above all, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. See everyone tomorrow. You're very welcome, Laura, Sinatra, all you guys. Steve Volge, love you. See you later.
Hey traders, this is Blake Morrow with ForexAnalytix. Thanks for stopping by our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like these videos, share them, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of the content that we provide here for free. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in the next video.